Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Girlish. My name is Gage, and I'm here with my co host, Olivia.
Hey everyone, it's me.
As of today, it's Memorial Day. So, you're not watching this on Memorial Day, but I hope all of you are having a great American holiday.
Actually, I'm editing it and I'll be posting it tonight, so they might be listening
Just
to it on
kidding.
Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember to wave your American flag high and be proud.
Yep, especially with recent events, just always make sure you are proud to be in this country.
My favorite thing about Memorial Day is that it's right before Pride. So it's like we get to celebrate how great our country is, and then we get to celebrate all of the different types of identities that everybody loves in the country.
It is great because Pride is what? In like 2 days? Ugh, iconic.
Yeah,
A-
actually.
And it's awesome because, especially for us, a lot of things are coming Pride Month, and I'm excited for the audience, like our audience, to see everything that's like up and coming for Girlish because it'll be really fun. Yeah,
Yeah, we
I'm
do have a
reading.
lot of exciting stuff coming,
Yeah,
but it's a
just
secret for
it's a
now.
secret. You guys will see in like literally like a few weeks. It's fine. But I'm trying to read the notes that we wrote right now, but I literally am so blind. I have contacts
So
typically, but like I can't afford it. Like truly it's like $100 a month. But I also hate how I look like in glasses. It
I
is
love how you
rough.
look in glasses.
I like the circle ones. I just want really big ones because I feel like these are a little too small for my face.
It very much fits your vibe.
I want to be like your nice like cool librarian from like the 70s. Like that's the
That's you.
aesthetic.
You
Yeah.
look like
The
really smart.
the dark
And like if I asked you a
academia.
question, you would know the answer.
Ask me a question.
What's the smallest country in the world?
I think I can actually answer that. I think it's the Vatican, am I wrong?
I yeah, it's like some I forget what it's called, but it's like some little country in Europe. Luxembourg, is that what it's called?
It's Vatican City. I was right.
Oh my god, you're so
Look at
smart.
me. I'm
You're
so
already on your
smart.
way to becoming a librarian.
Literally. Can you believe it, guys? Wow.
That's
Truly
so
my life
funny.
calling. Fuck girlish. But yeah, so today is going to be an interesting episode. We have a lot of sad stuff to talk about, but hopefully we can, um, you know, give some like light moods to a lot of these dark things. As we all know, the Uvalde shooting happened, the school shooting with the kids, and it's really tragic. And a lot has come from it. A lot of conversations regarding, gun ownership in America and like what to do, and the political party that is disagreeing with. Doing anything, I guess, refusing to like believe or understand that there's a lot of issues within our gun rights within America. So it'd be an interesting dialogue to go into later. There's a lot of like weird transphobia also intertwined with this whole like series of events that I'm so excited to talk about. So that'll be like our main topic that we'll get into eventually. Also, a lot of pop culture stuff came up, like specifically with Hunter Schafer. I'm sure you guys may have heard of it. All very fresh stuff, all very new in the news. So we are excited to get into that. But before we get into all the sad stuff, we'd like to obviously talk about what's going on with our lives. So how have you been? How's work? How's life? Anything fun? Any new shows? Anything cool happening?
I'm doing good. I think I mentioned it last week that I started a new position
Yes.
and I'm in training right now. And I don't know like what's exactly happening, but I really feel like sometimes I'm in a fever dream when I'm training just because my trainers, they're so like unique. Unique is the best way
I get
to
that.
say it. It's just like it's teetering along the lines of is this a dream or am I actually sitting in front of my computer and getting paid and actually doing this for a living? Because it's sometimes the lines just blur with each other. So it's just like interesting for me to go throughout the week and be working, but I don't know. It's just such a strange environment. Like everybody's cussing. Somebody last week was talking about how their daughter was being bullied. And my trainer was like, oh, well, I will just grab that bitch by the hair and toss her. And I was like, sweetie, you can't say that. You cannot say that in a that's child abuse.
Yeah.
She,
Oh
like
my
what?
god.
It's
You
just
gave
like
me
things like that. Oh my god, I forgot. I think I did tell you.
yeah, there's a few things you told
Yeah.
me. I know
There
it's
oh
like
my god.
really
See,
chaotic.
there's so much shit going
Yeah.
on. So on Thursday, I think it was Thursday of last week, we started off the day with a little game of Would You Rather, and everything was going fine. It was like really fun. I genuinely felt like everybody was normal until there was one specific question. I don't know why my trainer thought this was a good idea, but basically they asked, Would you rather spend 10 hours at a dinner table with somebody from the opposing political party or go to a concert for an artist that you absolutely hate? So basically, just listen to their music for 10 hours. And this woman, who I will not be naming, she decided to share her opinion. Mind you, her background for Zoom was an American flag, like 63 American flags. She was also wearing an American flag T-shirt, and an American flag hat for Memorial Day, just
Can
to celebrate, to get into the
can I
mood.
can I guess her race?
Go ahead.
Mm,
It's a
I'm
hard one.
thinking. I'm getting a little Caucasian.
Yeah, she was definitely Caucasian, of, the Karen variety. It definitely feels like she runs in the circle of a lot of Karens.
Was this
Um,
prior to the school shooting, or was this after?
this was after the school shooting.
Oh, so a
School shooting
wonderful question to bring up.
Tuesday. Yeah, and then this was a couple of days after. And her response was that she would rather go to a concert because she would rather be nagged by the sound of a musician that she hates as opposed to being nagged by somebody complaining about all the rights that they don't have while being an American citizen. And I I'm a very non-confrontational person, especially in the workplace. Like, I'm not trying to get into fights with anyone, but I feel like any normal person would kind of realize that you should probably not get so political at work. Like, obviously, the question probably was not a good question to be chosen by our trainer, but at the same time, you should have some type of logic or sense of reasonability in your head to think, I'm not going to turn this into a political debate because I'm working. And like, that's just kind of inappropriate. So I said to her that that was an interesting choice for her because based on her response, it sounds like she could benefit a lot from having a conversation with somebody from the other side. And, like I said, I don't like confrontation, but I feel like that was a very classy way to respond to her because that pissed me the fuck off and I needed
I
to say
would have
something.
I would have been messy. And so when you told me you said that, I was like, I love you so much for that, because that was just such like a put together answer that like it's like the best like passive aggressive way that you could be like, you're a fucking bitch. Keep this shit on
Yeah.
Facebook. Like
You should have seen our faces. Like, I have another coworker. All we do is like talk shit about people through like private messages on Zoom, like throughout the day. Whenever somebody says something that's out of pocket, we're just like, what the fuck is going on? And both of us, our faces, we were just like, I know this bitch didn't just say that. Like, who the fuck says that during work? And then my trainer was like, oh, I think that was like not a good idea. I think I shouldn't have chosen that question. And I was like, yeah, let's like stay away from that from now on. So that
it is
was interesting.
I am so afraid of that because like my CEO is like just like really close friends with Elon Musk. So like by
We
association there's a lot
actually,
of yeah, like he went to
oh my
space. Like
God,
my CEO went to space.
stop.
Yeah, with on Elon Musk's like spaceship. Like he like was one of
Okay,
it and he's gonna
Rich.
do it more. Yeah, he's a billionaire. But with that, I feel like comes a lot of politics that I'm always worried is gonna come up. I was on like a meeting with like my friend, or like my friend was on it, who's like a coworker of mine, and she messaged me. We're both pretty new, but like one of my bosses was talking about how we were launching like our product at the NRA, and we like messaged each other. We're like, wait, what, at the NRA? But we're both still new. But NRA is not the national whatever gun thing. The NRA for our department is National Restaurant Association or something like that. Like it's a
Oh
different,
my
it's
God.
like completely different. So we had to find that out the hard way when we were like
That's
looking it
funny.
up. Cause I was like, why is our like payment processing system like associated with the NRA? But yeah, so it's always like interesting when politics comes up at work. But when you told me that, I was so shocked. I was like, how do they let that like slide? Like, why would they ask that? Very interesting.
Yeah. So that was a really interesting way to end my week. That was like the weirdest thing that happened. I also got my hair cut on Thursday, which you can like see right now if you're
It
watching
looks
the
so good.
video. Thank you. I washed it this morning and this is the first time I styled it like myself. And I think I did okay. It doesn't look like it did when I got out of the salon, but that's like impossible. But yeah, like I really like having layers in my hair just because it's like really thick, so it gives it a dimension. And recently I started having like shorter bang pieces that frame my face. And I was telling Olivia that I've been in hell the last couple of days because two of the strands, like these two strands right here, they're too short to be tucked behind my ear. So if I need my hair out of my face, like I get hot flashes sometimes, okay? That's just one of the side effects of hormones for me. Like I get
Yes.
hot flashes all the time. I just do not want my hair in my face. And this shit is just constantly there. Like it just won't go away. And I'm this close. Actually, I'm not gonna chop it off. I would be depressed. But I'll deal with it until it grows out again.
It is the worst because I have bangs, and when they grow to that certain length, I used to have a hairdresser. I loved him. He really knew how to cut hair for the health of the hair, but like he would cut my bangs to my eyebrows, so they would last like a week. That of them being cute and not in the way, and then they'd start growing over my eyes, and they just like you couldn't do anything with them. So I try to get my bangs cut as short as possible, just so they stay out of my face, because like that is the worst feeling. It's like just having to like keep moving the bangs and everything. Like it sucks. So
Yeah.
I get
If
that.
I'm doing anything where I have to bend over, it's hell. Like what I have to clip them like little clips. I look like I'm 7 years old.
I mean, it's a look, right?
It is kind of a look. It's kind of Y2K vibes.
Yeah, right. You should
But
get the little
still,
butterfly clips.
oh my god, should
I,
I?
I
I'm almost
stand.
30. I don't think I should be wearing butterfly clips.
Oh my god, I remember when we started this podcast and like our summary or like our description of our podcast was like two trans women of color in their early 20s,
Now we have to change
and
it to mid to late 20s.
now I want to get married. Like there's like
Oh my
we're
god,
going
yeah,
through it.
we
Like
are.
we are truly aging beautifully. But
And we
you
lost
know,
two to 3 years due to the lovely pandemic, which is nice. So
it's kind of
that's
crazy.
fun.
Like, I don't know. I like with the pandemic and everything, like with everything happening, it is hard to think that like we have really like time has like really been so weird. Like we really have been 2 years quarantined. Like I'm in a different state now, working from home. Like who the fuck thought that was gonna happen? Making salary just working from home. Like who thought that was gonna happen? So
Yeah. And that's
it's
like normal now. Like companies are allowing people to stay home. Like my company, I don't have to go back to work in the office. It's we have an anywhere in the country policy, so I can move anywhere and keep my job, which
that's
is
so
crazy.
cool. That is awesome. Move back here.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm gonna move
uh,
back. I'm gonna
did
become
you
a
get
Washingtonian.
you had a company car? Did you get to keep that when you transferred?
No, I
Oh,
had to give it back last Monday. Now I have to drive
R.I.P.
my little dinky little Nissan
Nissan?
Versa, which she's
Yeah,
fine. She's a reliable girl, but gas is so expensive here. So now I have to pay for gas, which kind of sucks.
it's
But I
rough.
mean, I don't really go anywhere, so it doesn't matter that
I
much.
refuse to look at the gas prices when I go to the gas station. I just go to the closest one, and I'm like, I literally, if I look at it, I'll get depressed. And if I'm just driving around town trying to find the cheapest one, it's gonna like stress me out. So I just go, I pump it, and I just try not to think about it. But
That's a good
like,
strategy.
I mean, typically, like when the gas prices are like 30, like or $3 or whatever, I could fill up my car in like $40, and now like I have 40, and like I still have like a quarter left, and I'm like, this is crazy.
How much is
So,
gas in Washington right now?
let me see what the closest one is. I think it's like it has to be like 450 or something
Oh
like
my
that.
god, it's like 6 here.
Let me see. I wish. Oh no, I'm lying to you. The Chevron here, that's um, a few blocks away, is 550. So it's over $5. I literally haven't been looking. That's fucked. That is so
Me when I go
fucked.
shopping.
Me when I go to Target every week,
They
every
tell me the
Sunday.
total. I'm like, what? Sorry, what? I didn't hear that.
Literally. Oh my god. But yeah, that is crazy. That's okay. We stand your Nissan. It's got you through it.
I saw a TikTok today, and a girl said, when was the last time you went to a gas station and actually smelled gas? And she was like all up in her gas tank smelling the nozzle and was like, I can't smell anything. And I don't really fill up my gas tank. So I was wondering, like, when you go to fill up gas, have you noticed it doesn't smell like gas? Like, are they watering down the gas? What's happening?
That's an interesting theory. Cause like I'm a bitch that loves the smell of gas. Like I
Me
like I mean
too.
it's weird, right? There's like a weird sensation where it's like you
Yeah.
just want to huff it. And I've always been like that with like four-wheelers and shit. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't. I mean, if it like
Next time,
spills out, if it spills out, I'll smell it. But like I don't typically smell it anymore. But I'm wondering if there's a reason for that. If they've like that is weird. That's crazy.
they're just giving us water.
It is crazy to know that the price for gas is pretty cheap. It's not that bad, but it's just the gas companies like rising the prices just because they like are profiting off the war. But
Yeah.
evidently it's the cost has gone down a lot. But that's crazy. I didn't realize it was $5 near me. Sorry to be old, everyone, and talking about gas prices, but you know we are here. We're like millennial cusp with what is it? Gen Z cusp. We can talk about it. Do you
Yeah.
consider yourself a millennial?
I don't know. Kind
I
of.
So the
I
cutoff is
feel like I'm kind of
1995.
both.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's not a word other than like a cusper for both of us because
I feel like a
evidently,
true millennial is like born in the late 80s. Like
yeah,
that's kind of like a true like millennial. But like we were born at the very, very end, so we kind of experienced some of that. And then I feel like we mostly experienced Gen Z stuff.
yeah. I
But
mean, I agree. Like, I feel still young, and I feel like I'm super currently engaged in social media and everything happening, and so I feel like I can connect with Gen Z a lot. I'm technically Gen Z because it ends in 1995, and so I was born 96, so technically I'm Gen Z. But like I grew up with like dial-up internet. Like I remember that. I remember
mhm,
growing up like watching the shows my siblings watched, playing our like the old Nintendo, the one that had like Duck Hunt and shit. Like I remember that. But at the same time, like I'm living like I also remember like the development of YouTube like in 2005. Like so
mhm.
I feel like I'm just a part of the internet age. But yeah, that is interesting because
We're
I
special.
we are special. We are trans.
Yeah, I feel like 93 to like 98. We're like the special ones.
Yeah. So if you weren't born between that time, you
You
suck.
can just go away.
Yeah. Don't even watch us.
Mm-mm.
Actually, just kidding. Please watch us. Share with your friends. We also have video podcasts. I don't know if anyone knows this, but like if you're on Spotify or if you're on Apple Podcasts, we have a large audience on Apple Podcasts. Go to Spotify and watch us. Or we have our videos on YouTube now that I'm posting, so that's fun.
Yeah, you
But
can see our pretty little faces while we're talking.
yes.
So easy.
Oh,
Everything's in one place.
I enjoy actually having the video aspect for it. We wanted to do it for a long time, and we toyed with it every now and then. We I remember one time we were recording like on our phones and like sending each other the videos, but like that if you're recording your phone for like a minute, it's like 7 gigabytes. And so we
Yeah.
finally found a way that Zoom video feature sucks, but like we record off a site called Zencaster, which if you have a podcast, we recommend it because it's free and it has like a really great video part to it. So we were luckily finally able to do it. But yeah, go watch us on there. I was thinking lately about the circle,
Oh my
and we
goodness.
haven't talked about it on this show yet.
We
And the new season
haven't.
came out, and like it's a tradition, and I feel really bad. So we don't have to talk about it long, but I just want to know a brief summary of how you felt about the newest season.
I really enjoyed this season. Last season, hot mess. They tried way too hard. The thing I liked the most about the original season is that it's like real people. Like you can see everybody has a different type of personality. Same thing with the second season. Also, I liked the second season. And then in the third season, it really felt like everybody was just a caricature of who they actually were. And they weren't really being genuine. It was like everybody's reaction had to be so over the top for the camera. Everybody had to be screaming. And it was like everyone was kind of the same person, but slightly different. And I didn't like that. Like, I like seeing that there are people that go on there that are a little bit more reserved and a little bit quieter, because that's kind of why I wanted to join the show. I was like, okay, they clearly accept people of all different types of personalities. But the third season, it felt like everybody was an extrovert and they were trying very hard to prove that. So I really enjoyed this season.
Do you know who won last season?
No, I stopped watching. But I think it was somebody that joined pretty late, which was cool because usually
Yeah.
it's like somebody that starts off.
Because yeah, I stopped watching the previous season because I after they were gaslighting that old woman,
That
I
was
felt
so bad.
so bad. I felt so bad. She was like, "It's me, guys," and like they were like, "No,
You're like, you're
you're
a
the
catfish,
catfish."
bitch.
Oh, that was so sad. But this newest season was like even the catfish, they were just like normal people. And like it was just like a breath of fresh air because I was able to enjoy it. I really, really loved I forget their names. Um
Describe them, and then
it's
I'll
the
give you
one with
describe.
that's the one that has like the style and like the sass. What's her name?
Yuling,
Yuling, yeah,
love
yeah,
her. She was my
love her.
favorite.
Yeah, but then she like let Alyssa go. I mean, sorry guys, spoilers, but she like let Alyssa go, and like I had just had a bad taste in my mouth. But I feel like you also don't see a lot of the conversations they have, and she had that other alliance, so like I get it.
I want to say I didn't understand. This is spoiler central, so I'm sorry
Yeah,
if you haven't watched
guys,
it.
just skip like 2 minutes.
I was angry that Alyssa was so mad at Yuling, but
That's
she was
true.
not mad at Brew. And he's literally the one that picked Carol over her. Like, I get that Yuling didn't pick you, but he didn't either, babes. He sent you home, and now you're like, oh my God, he's so cute. Like, I forgive you. Like, girl,
Literally,
what are you talking about? You can't be
women
mad
need
at
to support
one.
women.
It was just very not girl's girl of her.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. But like, yeah, exactly. I guess in the end, Alyssa was like, Yuling, like I'm fine, like it's okay. I truly thought she was gonna win, but it makes sense that who else he won, and
Yeah,
we're just spoiling it. Who cares? It was
it's
just really nice.
okay.
Yeah, you saw the whole thing, right?
I did.
Yeah, it was so nice that Frank won. I mean, he had such a hard life. Like he needed that win.
He was so, like, he didn't even really play strategically. He was just such a nice, genuine person, and he won. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. I love the when the like it just it's so good. I was gonna say only people of color won, but I forgot that Joey won the first season.
Yeah. And
Right?
it
Wait,
was
Joey won, right? Or was
Joey
it?
did win.
I mean, he's
She won, but
Italian, so truly the best person of color. I'm not Italiophobic, guys.
I love
Italiophobic.
spaghetti.
Oh my god!
So
But
yeah, The Circle, it was good. That's like, it was The Circle and Love Island. Those are like were our two staple
yeah,
obsession.
I got into the show Love Island, but the app is what like really drew me in.
Yeah.
So
We literally
yeah.
did an entire episode just reviewing The Circle.
If you guys haven't listened to it, like I remember that was
Like,
so
what?
funny. I would do that again, but like it is kind of crazy that we were just like, honestly, let's just talk about every like cast member and like why we like or hate them.
Yeah.
But
Well, we are a trans pop culture podcast, so it makes sense.
exactly. And that's yeah, exactly. When we started labeling ourselves as that, I was like, I really want to emphasize the pop culture aspect because a lot of times, talking about trans related stuff is important, but sometimes I just want to like catch up on like what's happening and like
Yeah.
the real world and like pop culture and stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything other interesting news that have happened with us lately. Um, uh, what's
Relating to shows, we
happening?
talked about Stranger Things yesterday. Actually, the
Oh
newest
yeah,
season
it,
just
it
came
just
out.
dropped. I watched it all. Did you watch it
It's
all?
so, I'm on episode 5, so I think I have 2 more episodes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It starts off really slow, but then it picks up in such a beautiful way, and I they just can't do no wrong. Like the actors and they're so pure. They're just like innocent kids that they're so fun to watch. We watch them grow up, and it's so nice.
I was sobbing in my bed in the last episode that I just watched with,
Hmm.
I think it's episode 4. I'm not spoiling anything because it is like a pretty big show, but Sadie Sink, she snapped.
A queen. We love
She
Taylor Swift.
honestly snapped. Like, okay, she's Can we talk about the music video where she's like with Dylan O'Brien and he's like 30 and she's not like 30?
Yeah, she's I
That's
think
kind of
19.
weird.
Yeah. I
But
think
anyways,
I'm on Taylor Swift TikTok. I'm not like the hugest like Swifty. I like her like old stuff. But yeah, evidently that was the age difference between her and what's his name?
John Mayer? Or
No,
is it
no,
some
no.
other old man?
It was no, it's that other guy she dated that everyone was like shitting on. He was on that fuck. I'm so bad with names. I like if you were to show me like famous people in front of me,
Um,
Matt Jack Gyllenhaal. What's his name?
Jake
Jake
Gyllenhaal.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah, it was about him.
Oh, oh my goodness.
That was the exact age difference, which is why she
Oh,
wanted to cast them because
I'm
it
not a
was such a
Swiftie.
big. Yeah, I'm on Taylor Swift TikTok. I'm on Gaylor TikTok, which is theories that she's gay, which is kind of fun. But
That kind of makes sense to me. Like when
I
I look
mean,
at her, I kind of don't get straight
there's
vibe.
there's like queer vibes in like her lyrics that evidently people have, and like there's like a rumor that she had like a girlfriend at a point, but I'm not one to out anyone. That's on her own terms if she ever wants to do that, but I think it's fun to hear the people's fan theories. But I'm not a Swiftie, even though I like the tea.
It's okay. You can admit it. You're like,
um
just for clarification, I'm not a Swiftie.
Yes. I want to talk about one more thing before we go on the pop culture podcast. I know we're like really harping on all this stuff, but I want to know your thoughts. And I kind of brought it up to you the other day. But Emily and I went to Trader Joe's the other day, and it upset me so much because it wasn't even like the situation. It was like the attitude of the employee that I was like, oh, she was just so mean. But we went to Trader Joe's, and this has never happened to me. Maybe like once when we were in Gainesville a long, long time ago, but only in like liquor stores, but we were just getting wine, Emily and I. And we were leaving the apartment, and Emily was like, I'm not bringing my bag. Can you please pay for it? And I was like, Of course, I'll buy us wine. So we go to Trader Joe's. I'm buying us wine. I'm checking out. Granted, we've done this before. We went to Trader Joe's before. We've done this. And I was checking out, and she asked for my ID, and then she said, Does your friend have her ID? And I was like, What? And she was like, do they have their ID? And I was like, excuse I literally said, I was like, Are you serious? Like, are you joking? And she was like, No, she needs her ID. And then so I asked Emily, I knew she didn't have it. And I was like, so like I can't even show you like a picture of it. And she was like, No. And then she just like ignored us and then just rang up everything without the like the wine. And she was like, This is your total without the wine. And I was like, Okay. But it didn't make sense. Has that ever happened to you? Is that a thing that's happened?
Um, yeah, it has happened before where like if you're with somebody that's buying alcohol and you're standing next to them, I have been asked for my ID before. I don't know if it's like a Washington thing, but that's stupid. First of all, at a Trader Joe's, like that's not very on brand for them. They're supposed to be like the cool grocery store. So I don't get that. She needs to chill out. Maybe she should have a glass of wine.
Yeah, she was like really just like on like I don't know. It just felt like aggressive. I was like, oh my god. But
Because
it
like
just
if you're with your child, are you going to ask your child for their like are you going to give your child a shot of vodka? No. Like just because you're with somebody doesn't mean they're going to drink it.
one also saying like is your friend like ugh
She's
gross.
like, "Oh, you
But
guys are some of those people."
yeah, I mean, so yeah, and that was like the big thing is like I'm paying with my card, I'm paying with my ID. If she was my child or if she was literally like 80 years old, like would you be asking me that? And I'm like, okay, what if we walk out of the store, I come back in and she's not with me? At what's the time frame where I can buy the alcohol? Like if I come back tomorrow without her, are you going to card me? Like it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like are you going to like yeah, what? So I just was super frustrated. We ended up leaving. We went to Target. We stay in Target. And then we ended up buying alcohol. No, we went to Safeway. We ended up buying alcohol from Safeway. But like then Emily went to go hide while I paid for it. And I was like, why does I feel like I'm a child right now. I'm like, we're like in our late 20s. Like, what is happening?
It
So
feels very like that's just so weird
yeah, it
because
feels like we're
I
in
don't know.
college and we just turned 21 and we're like, oh my God, like we're going to buy alcohol. And like Emily's still 20 or something. Like, but like we're truly adults. And it just was like super like frustrating that I felt like I was breaking the law by just legally buying alcohol.
I think it would make sense if she looked at your ID and saw that you were had just turned 21 like 2 days ago. but you
Yeah.
didn't just turn 21. Like, you can
Yeah.
legally drink. It's been a few years. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
But yeah, that was like that was so upsetting. But yeah, enough of that. We can actually jump into the next topic. And I want you to like lead it off because I think you have a good understanding of what's happening because you actually were like you saw it and everything. So
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So this actually happened, was it yesterday or on Saturday? It was over the
It,
weekend. I was just like randomly scrolling TikTok, not TikTok, Instagram, and I saw Hunter Schafer posted like, if you're in this specific part of Germany, don't go to this club because they're transphobic and not friendly to queer people. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then like 10 minutes later, she goes live and I wasn't doing anything. So I clicked on it. And basically, she's in Germany, or she was in Germany at the moment. I think when she went live, it was like 3 a.m. So like she was trying to go out to the club and have fun, which as she should. And she was basically saying that one of the clubs that they tried to go to apparently did not allow her assistant into the club. And I think she specifically said that her assistant is visibly trans. So I don't know if that means that she's there early on in their transition or what exactly is about it. But apparently, the bouncers at this club, it's called Silk, they just refused to let them in because of the way that her friend looked. And I thought that was an interesting thing to bring up because this type of thing does happen. I feel like often, I know clubs have very specific dress codes, which makes sense. Like if you're a high end club, you obviously don't want somebody to come in wearing sweatpants, which is reasonable. But at what point do you start discriminating against people solely based on their appearance? And when is that okay? Which I don't think it's ever okay.
yeah, it was an interesting story. I was really shocked by it. The specifics are it was Saturday, May 28th. She went live on Instagram to call out the German nightclub Silk in Dulcendorf after her assistant, who was a trans woman, was denied entry. So yeah, I don't know what it was, but I'm assuming that her assistant probably got clocked and was regardless if maybe she's visibly trans or whatever she looks like. Regardless, she was denied access because of her transness, and like that is so disgusting. It's so disturbing. And how did you feel about Hunter like going on live and like showing it and like confronting the bouncer because that was like a thing that she did, and I know that like I don't know, how'd you feel about it?
I felt fine. I was like, okay, go off, because that, I mean, she has a massive platform, and I don't think, I think that's something that should be made noticeable to everybody. Like, obviously, if you're a queer person in Germany and you want to go to the club, you want to know which clubs are going to be friendlier to you and which ones aren't. I mean, people get discriminated against all the time when they go out, especially if they're trans, not just by other people that are in the club, but also by the staff, the bouncers, bartenders, whatever it may be. So, I mean, I think she had a right to go on live and talk about it and talk about her experience because, I mean, she's not really doing anything wrong. She's just simply sharing what experiences her assistant had and how that isn't necessarily a safe environment for queer people, which I wouldn't want to go to a club if I knew that they actively turn trans women down because of the way that they look. Like, I wouldn't feel safe going there.
Yeah, she had 30,000 people watching it whenever she was live. Um and I just like it is a interesting conversation to get into about like the safety of trans people when they go out, because there's a lot of times where I've seen like videos of trans people getting assaulted. Like I've seen it like the videos of trans women in LA being assaulted by like men. Who was it that there was like a the whole was it
Eden
Nikita?
the doll.
It was
It was
Eden,
Eden the
that's what it was.
doll and Jasleen and one of their other, Jocelyn, another trans woman.
Yeah, just trans women trying to have fun, go out, enjoy the nightlife, and then not being able to do that because they were clocked or whatever it is. Because people and men specifically have the fucking smallest ego, the smallest dicks. But it is crazy that like that's like something that trans women have to fear just to go out and have fun. Like they're not able to do that. And like I know that's a big fear of mine. um and it's part of a reason why I'm so nervous about like going, downtown, or like downtown is where like a lot of like partying and like clubs were in Gainesville whenever I lived there. But it is interesting because I've had like guys come up to me and like try and like flirt with me, but then I'm like really uncomfortable because I'm like I if I just feel like if I speak the wrong way or if I speak a certain way, like I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. Or maybe if the light comes on and something happens and I get clocked, I just a million things run through my head and I'm like, this is a dangerous situation and I'm just on high alert and I hate men right now. Like I need them to all leave me alone. And I don't know if you feel similar. Where are you like? Do you get feared about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely scary. I think there is a level of privilege that comes to being out at night or being super into nightlife as a trans person. Obviously, based on your appearance is what most people are going to judge you by, especially if you go out to a club or something. So just like showing your ID or trying to get into the club early on in your transition is really nerve wracking because a lot of the times maybe your ID doesn't match what you look like now, or you're scared that they're going to like clock you, or if your gender marker doesn't match or something like that. So there is a lot of anxiety that's coupled with going out to the club. But I think there is a sense of comfort that comes once you've been transitioning for a long time and you're kind of able to live your life in the gender that you identify as. But even if you are somebody that doesn't necessarily get approached about being trans, or if people ask you, it's still like always in the back of your mind. Like if I'm at a club and a guy talks to me and it, like you said, if I speak the wrong way or if they notice something about me, that automatically puts you in a dangerous situation because obviously you haven't disclosed that you're trans and this random person just came up to you and you don't know what their thought process is in terms of talking to a trans person or what how they'll react if they find out. So it is kind of scary. It's always something that's going to be in the back of your mind, I think, regardless of what you look like or how long you've been transitioning. It's just an anxiety that I think will always be there if you're going out in that type of environment.
Yeah, I don't. It's such a like for me. I've gotten so like introverted where and scared, and it is kind of a problem. And I'm realizing it the older I get that like it's hard for me to even exist outside of my home because I'm so worried that like something bad's gonna happen. And like maybe that's just an intrusive thought that like just like really overwhelms me or some social anxiety things that I'm working through. But a lot of it I know has to do with my transition and just like it is a fearful, especially when you hear a lot of things on the news happening, when you hear stuff like this. And I have a friend in Germany, and like for the most part, he said that it's like a pretty inclusive place. But it is just wild that like that can just happen. That like you can just be denied entry into a place because they notice that you were trans or something. And like I find it so like disturbing and heartbreaking, and I just really feel bad for the assistant that she has. And it just is such an unfair thing that like a struggle that I feel like is real for so many trans women. And I get I just like it's heartbreaking, you know.
And it doesn't make sense to me. Like you're turning down a potential customer to spend money at your establishment. For what reason? Like, for what
Hmm.
reason would you turn somebody down just based on their appearance?
Yeah, I have the hardest time with it. But I think I try to find the light out of the situation and the things that make me laugh. And the one thing that like made me like laugh so hard was I saw tweets of talking about Hunter Schafer and and how she's been in Europe for whatever, filming whatever, and now she has like a European accent. When she was like, I don't know if you heard it when she was live and like just like talking to the bouncer, she was like she had her full Bella Hadid moment. No?
Stop. I didn't even notice that.
No, you should watch it again. It's
I
so
should.
funny.
What
Just
kind of
like
accent is it? Is
it
it
was
like,
just like it's very European. And like, you know, do you remember the video where like Bella Hadid was talking and people were like laughing at her cuz she had like a little like European accent and she's like, yeah, it was just really funny. But if you listen to it and like towards the end the way she's talking, there's like a slide, it's like there and it's just really funny. But I would be that bitch though. Like I
me?
would truly be the bitch that if I was living in like Europe for like a week, I'd just like fully, you know, go all
That's
out.
me. I would go on vacation for a week and I'd be like, hi, everybody. Sorry.
I want to like do an impression right now, but I'm so bad at like about like at any accent, so like I can't. The only when I think of like English accent, I think of that TikTok, the the Harry Potter one, the not me, not Hermione,
Oh yeah.
yo. That's funny, but that truly would be me. So I think I try to get a laugh out of that because like it is such a like a heartbreaking thing. I love Hunter, and I just feel really bad that like you know that has to happen and she gets to like see that firsthand because I'm lucky and I'm fortunate that I've never been truly like discriminated against in any place that I've gone to. I've luckily have been in situations around people that are pretty inclusive, so I can't even imagine. Like I would be so broken. I mean, even in like any space, like bathrooms and stuff like that. Like I hear so many horror stories of people like really just like being discriminated against so much. And like things like bathrooms, or you're just trying to go in and pee, and it always scares me. I'm like on high alert every time I leave the house.
She's also an actress with millions of followers. So it could happen to literally any of us. You could be the most famous pop star, richest trans woman, but you could still end up being denied getting into a club just because you're trans, which kind of just shows.
Yeah, she has 7 million followers. And so that's like a lot. Like she's really influential. Like um and then you can even when she was live streaming, there was like fans coming up to her and wanting to take a picture with her. And so at the end of it, I mean she was only live for like what, like a few minutes.
Mm.
And
I know that PR team for that club is kicking and screaming when they got on
yeah,
Instagram the next day and saw that they turned down Hunter Schafer. They're like, fuck.
I went on I went on their Instagram because she added them and they only had like a few thousand followers, and I'm like fucking crusty dusty as
They're
stupid
probably
club.
like, we've heard the rumors and we are accepting of all people.
I wonder if they like posted anything like that. I'm
I
interested.
feel like they would say something like
Silk
that with a little
Club.
rainbow. We love everybody. I don't
Let's
know what
say
accent I just said.
no. You're oh my god.
Wait, did they actually?
If you here, I'm gonna send you their Instagram right
They said
now.
she's a lying tranny. Don't listen to her.
They oh my god. They
Oh no, I'm
posted a
scared.
trans like heart on their
I
like on
fucking
the
knew it. I fucking knew it.
you fucking called it. Oh my god, here, let me share to direct Gage. I'm on my computer
Stop.
right now. I need you to just see it really quick because it is crazy. I'll read it when um it says um okay, so it's in German. It says
I'm gonna
electronic
scream.
music is love and not hate. Everyone who does not respect the principles of electronic music has no place in our colorful world. We apologize at this point to Hunter Schafer and your company for the misunderstanding in our door in the night from Saturday to Sunday. This kind of thing has no place in our world and simply must not happen. We hereby expressly distance ourselves from any form of discrimination. After a conversation with our corresponding security employee, he was kicked out today. We, the Silk, are and remain an LGBT friendly club and look forward to many more great nights with you.
Not a misunderstanding.
Yeah, refusing to let someone in is not a misunderstanding. It's like the top comment. Yeah, it's not a misunderstanding. It's transphobia. Like, what do you mean a misunderstanding? A misunderstanding of what?
Like, what did he
Like,
misunderstand?
right?
He
Because you
made
saw
that
her, you
decision.
didn't let her in.
Yeah.
What?
Ew. I'm never going to the Silk if I'm ever in Dusseldorf, Germany.
Right.
So you'll
Which
never get my
I was
business.
actually planning on going next week, and now they will not
Same.
have my
We
company.
reserved a table, but now I think I'm going to cancel.
Not me. I will not be going. But yeah, that is you called it. Like you
I
literally called
hate
it.
this graphic. I hate
I
it.
it is they just
It's
got
the
this off fucking
most, like,
Pinterest or something.
I'm going to throw up.
Not them adding like if you look at the picture, they tagged her in it. They put her in the middle. Like,
She liked it though. She
oh,
said,
did
okay.
she?
She said, fine.
Oh, she did like it. Okay, Queen, go off. Maybe we do want to go
If
there.
she likes it, then, I mean, I'll go to the club with Hunter Schafer if she wants to go there.
How many followers did they have? Because they only had like yeah, they only have 4,000 followers. I think yesterday they had 3,000. They probably got a little bit of a boost. That is so funny. The whole name of the city sounds stupid. I'm sorry if
Dusseldorf.
you're from there.
Oh my god, everyone from Dusseldorf's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Sorry, but yeah. I think with that being said, we had our thoughts, our feelings. It is hard to just want to exist as a trans person. I don't know. I'm like every day there's like new news. I just have to. I don't know if you feel the same way when you log on to social media and like you see all this politics going on, especially regarding trans people. I just like move past it, and like I like have to scroll past it because the moment I start reading things, the moment I like it like hurts me. It like really like even if it's like conservative people like Candace Owens who we're gonna like jump into in a second, like when I read it, like the fact that like she has fans, people support her, it's fun to laugh at and fun to joke about and fun to like say how stupid these people are, but it hurts. It really does. It's like hurts and it's scary that people agree with her. And the same with JK. Sorry.
That's the scariest thing for me. It's not necessarily that people are like saying these things because someone's going to say something stupid. Like someone's always going to say stupid shit. It's just like the amount of likes and retweets that these people get. It's so scary. Like there's no way that many people think that this is like a good point.
Yeah. I struggle with that a lot, which I know that like I'm trying to get better at knowing like disconnecting myself from those people because there is a huge support of love and acceptance and all around me. And I think that's what we need to focus on. There's like a collective of people that do love and support you and you just have to like really understand and push towards um really finding those people in your life and hopefully one day in the future we can all be really inclusive of everyone. With that being said, I want to get into the school shooting in Uvalde. Obviously, a content warning for this. We will be talking about the shooting, the school shooting, and yeah, it is something that I find extremely heartbreaking. I don't know if you guys know. I'm sure everyone knows. I'm sure you definitely have heard. 19 kids, children, were murdered, slaughtered from a school shooter who randomly he was like just a crazy guy that like crashed his truck or something or his grandma's truck after just killing his grandma, like crashed his truck and then like ended up was like in like a gunfire fight with the police officers and then went into a school and just shot every student that he could see. And the police officers, he had an AR-15, of course, and the police officers stood outside for like 40, 45 minutes and did nothing. They did do stuff. What they did was that when the parents were coming to try and get their kids out, they prevented the parents from going inside the school to save their kids. But evidently, there were reports that the police officers who had kids at that elementary school, they went in and they got their kids, but anyone else was not allowed to go in.
I
And
didn't
they,
know that. I didn't know that
yeah,
they had kids there.
I heard a
That's
few
so
reports.
fucked.
Yeah. And so they were like telling the parents they couldn't go in, and they just didn't go in. And that's like your whole good guys with guns narrative is just out the window. But so this is obviously a tragic thing, and I think everyone's head immediately goes to gun rights and gun ownership in America, and what needs to happen. And obviously, a lot of people are calling for gun reform, which I think is a huge step forward in order to prevent these gun violence happening. But the conservative people that want to keep guns that are being paid by gun lobbyists like the NRA, they want to obviously support those interests of theirs that are going to profit from and what's going to keep them in power. So they will do anything to say that it's not about gun ownership, that it's a crazy guy with a gun, it's mental health, and it's going to be a million other things. And now that it's happening, they're like, everyone wants to go into politics. I see people like asking like Ted Cruz or what's his name, the Abbott. I see them asking them like, what do you want? What are you going to do about guns? And their first response is, everyone wants to make this political. But it's like, yeah, because you're a fucking politician. Like that's literally, you're a public servant. Like that's exactly, you're a politician. So of course it's political. And so there's a lot of frustrating thoughts that come with this. Obviously, there's a clear answer of what needs to be done. We definitely need to ban assault weapons. And I don't know if you also feel that same way regarding gun ownership. I know everyone like to say, it's a Second Amendment right. And I do agree that, I support gun ownership in America, sure. But I think there needs to be a lot of restrictions. I don't think we need military grade weapons at our fingertips. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I feel like even if I was a gun owner or somebody that was really into owning a gun, I would be able to understand that this is not a new issue in the country, which is really sad. Like there's over 200 shootings that have happened within our country over like the last 50 years when this is not happening in other places in the world. So it's like, why? We have to figure out what the reason is, and literally nobody else in other countries is able to walk around with AR-15s just because they want to. Like that's literally the reason. And at the end of the day, you can try and say that it's not the gun itself that's killing people, it's the person holding it. But ultimately, we have access to guns. So if nobody had access to guns, we wouldn't be shooting each other. It doesn't matter who's holding it. It's the fact that everybody is able to honestly pretty easily get a gun, which they shouldn't be able to.
It's really fucked. Like I just like I'm just baffled. I'm like mind blown at the fact that um that it's just being spun like it's like not a gun thing when it clearly is a gun issue. Yeah, I'm so like heartbroken for the families. Like I can't even imagine. Emily and I were talking about like having kids one day, and it's like we don't even know what to do. Like we obviously don't want to homeschool kids, and we want our kids to be in public schools. The idea of private institutions just is like dirty to me, and so like but like it just is like it's so heartbreaking. Ted Cruz is talking about we need better doors. Yeah, secure the doors, get great doors. But I don't think he knows that windows exist. But
I don't understand why their response is to like prevent it from happening again. Like basically you're saying it's inevitable that school shootings are just going to continue to happen, so we might as well reinforce the doors and the windows and have better programs to, instead of just like, I don't know, maybe removing the guns. Like who needs an AR-15?
right.
Like I really
And
don't think any normal person needs anything other than like a pistol. Like what do you
right.
need an automatic weapon for? What are
Like
you going to go hunting and shoot a deer 63 times? Like is that necessary?
exactly. And the Second Amendment was written during a time where like reloading a gun took like fucking minutes. Like it took a long time to actually put the bullet in, get it set up. Now like you have the power of like a military grade weapon at your fingertips, and like it's awful. Um, let's see. So when we had I read this tweet. I'm gonna be honest, it's from Bernie Sanders' Twitter, but he tweeted when we had an assault weapons ban from 1994 to 2004, because the United States did at a certain point ban assault weapons. So mass shootings went down 43%. After it expired, mass shootings tripled. So um, at a certain point, we've seen what restrictions can do and how they can help the overall issues we have with guns. And so I always get frustrated too at like the conversations regarding like, oh well, they're just gonna find a way to get a gun. Like if they want a gun, they'll just find another way. But I'm like, okay, well then let them find another way. But what they can't do, or what we're gonna prevent, is this easy accessibility for them too. If like who knows someone in the underground like black market that's gonna get them a gun? Like it just like is super like weird, and like I don't know. I just think that there's like a cancer right now within like the conservatives that they're like they don't believe that like I think they actually do believe, but I think that it's just not in their best interest to like do anything about it. So they'd rather see 19 kids dead than um than do anything. And the governor Abbott he specifically said like things could have been worse. He said that. He was like, it could have been worse, everyone. And I'm like, yeah, it could have been
19
worse.
kids died,
What, 20
but it,
kids?
it could have been 20.
It
That's
could have
so
been
fucked
white kids, right?
up. Oh my God.
It was in Texas. And so a lot of these kids were Hispanic. It was close to, it was outside San Antonio. Right? Am I wrong?
I
Something
think
like
so.
that. But yeah. So I just like, I read all this stuff. I get super overwhelmed. I get super upset. Um, and I just think it's messed up.
It is messed up. They'll do anything that they can to kind of divert attention away from gun ownership and blame it on something else. And I don't understand it, because it's not like people are illegally obtaining these weapons and going to shoot people. I'm pretty sure in almost all instances, they legally purchased a gun. Or like it's not like they did it with some backwards like black market way to get access to weapons. They literally just went like a normal person, like they're going to the grocery store and picked up an automatic weapon.
18 years old, and he owned two AR-15s, and it's
Yeah.
AR-15s that a lot of these mass shootings happen with. Um, it's hard to like hear like how many years in Sandy Hook? I think like 11 or something like that. Sandy Hook wasn't that long ago. It was also a similar situation. I think it was 26 kids at Sandy Hook, if I'm not mistaken. But this has happened before, and nothing has happened. And yeah, it's it's really like really frustrating to me because I get so angry. I think of like I just like I get so mad because I'm like, what's gonna change? What can change? Like what's gonna happen? There's a YouTuber I watched named H3, like Ethan Klein, and like he made a comment, like he joked about, I don't even want to say it, but like, and all the conservatives got mad. And I just think it's an easy way to get mad at someone for joking about a certain thing happening than actual issue of 19 kids dying. Like, um, it is just like, it's so wrong. It makes me so sad. But like going like further discussing this shooting, um, a lot of conservatives are deflecting the blame. They don't want to say that it's guns. So what's the answer, right? If it's not guns, it's mental health. If it's not mental health, or it's what is it? What is it? And
It's
the answer
tranny.
is it's trannies, of course. Of course, we're the problem, right? Trannies and fat people. Like
Yeah.
that's the issue. So we are going to talk about Candace Owens, who is a conservative influencer, political commentator, propagandist, whatever, fascist, whatever you want to call her. I absolutely despise her, but she went on a lovely Twitter, whatever, spree saying, what drives an 18-year-old to murder innocent children? I don't know, but judging by the photos of him cross dressing, we can assume there are plenty of signs that he was mentally disturbed and abused by adults in his life. Societal cowardice ignored those plenty of signs. So she's referring to, I don't know if you know the specifics of the situation. So she's referring to an image that she saw of evidently the school shooter dressed up in women's clothing, which originated in 4chan, and it was not true at all. Those pictures were debunked, and the poor trans woman, I don't know if they were a trans woman, but they're definitely trans. The poor trans person was like targeted and a bunch of stuff. They had to go on Reddit to post a picture of themselves and say that they're not the school shooter. And but yeah, this picture of them was just used and was saying that the school shooter was trans or was cross-dressing or whatever. So fake stuff. And then Candace Owens doubled down and says, like, you guys are all crazy, like that's not the image I saw, it wasn't that person. So like is lying because that was the only image circulating, was this poor trans person that was getting targeted and harassed. And just, I don't know, it's like it's so easy to not blame guns, right, and make it trans people. That's the issue.
And Candace has 3.1 million followers on Twitter, and a quote unquote political figure with that amount of reach is getting their sources from like 4chan or Reddit with no evidence and spreading that to their fan base. Like that is so harmful. to be able to look up to somebody who doesn't even fact check their sources, but is so set on putting forth an agenda or like a ideology that trans people are mentally ill. And even if this person was trans, I still don't really think that means anything. Like one trans person committing a crime for the last 50 years when 200 other cis white men did the same thing. But now all of a sudden it's because trannies, we talk about trannies. Oh, we mentalize, what did she say?
Uh,
Normalize mental illness. Like nobody was talking about trans issues 10 to 15 years ago, and this was still happening, babes. So you can't tell me that just because trans people are starting to get more, I guess, exposure, people are more prone to talking about them or understanding who they are, that where the reason shootings happen, because they happened well aware or well before like the push for trans rights started. So I don't really understand it. I also don't understand why she brought up the body positivity movement and how that has to do with anything. I'm confused.
Right. And so if the issue is trans women, right? If that's if I mean if this one, let's say this person was trans, and if this was the determining factor for why they shut up schools, you're right. The majority of other shooters are white cis males. So why doesn't she say that? How being white and cis and fucking incel, why doesn't she go out and say that's the cancer, that's the pathology, those people are wrong? And it's like, of course not, right? That would never happen. She would never say those words because that is her fan base. Those type of people are her fan base. And so it'll never be the white man's fault. It'll never be the gun's fault. It's always going to be people's, the marginalized people who have no power over society, that are being used as like scapegoats and being made to be like these things that we should be fearful of. When all trans people want is the same freedoms that you have. And so like it takes me back to the woman saying, like talking at your work, talking about the freedoms people say they don't have. But it's like people like parents in Texas can get incarcerated for giving their child like hormone blockers, things that are irreversible that will not harm the child at all if they choose not to be trans, or choose that they or decide that they aren't trans when they get older. They can just take it, go through puberty like normal. Like parents can be incarcerated for wanting to help their child. And so it just seems like Texas, the United States, don't care about kids. They don't care about mental health. If they did, there would be a push for protecting protections regarding like mental health. So things like healthcare expansion, making that more free and accessible, things like that, that they will never do because that's not in their interest, their financial interest, their political interest. So it like is, I just want to scream.
It's so frustrating because there's no reason trans people should even be included in this conversation. Like it's a horrible tragedy. It's a school shooting. It's something that we've experienced, unfortunately, many times before. But to think that somehow trans people would be dragged into this, I didn't see that in the future. Like it's just so out of left field. Like it started from a rumor. Like some random person was like, the killer was a tranny. Look at this person. This was them. And it just spiraled. And like people are so delusional to think that the issue is not guns, that they'll believe anything else to rationalize what happened and to put the blame on somebody else. And that's how we ended up in this position. But like I said, like there's no reason trans people should be even included in this conversation.
Yeah. And I'm just, it's disturbing where like we just are always the punching bag because we're an easy target, right? Where we're so marginalized. It's something so odd for people to like come to accept, odd for people to come to accept and understand that like trans people can exist. People can feel uncomfortable in their gender identity and have the means to change it. That's something so weird for people for some reason, when trans people have existed since the beginning of time. So I just find it like really, it hurts me. It like makes me so sad that like people are actually believing this shit, and that we're always the punching bag. We're always going to be the root problem of everything. It's trans people, it's brown people, it's immigrants, it's the most marginal. It's black people. It's the most marginalized groups of people. They're going to be the problems, And it all comes to stem to keep like white people in power. The shooter in Buffalo, which we didn't talk about, went into a grocery store to kill black people, with the whole like he was a follower of a bunch of these conservative like commentators and political figures, and he believed in his manifesto. He believed in the white replacement theory, which has been heavily like endorsed and pushed and propagandized, if that's a word, by like conservative political like commentators like Tucker Carlson. And so like these people are feeding this like fear and making these people like literally go crazy enough to want to kill them. And so I don't know, I just get like I get so like worked up about it. Like I'm so passionate about it that like I just like I don't know, I can't even like believe that we're like right now, we're fighting for women's rights to like choose and have control over their own body, but conservatives are saying, but the kids, they're kids. But the moment that they're in a school shooting and 19 kids are dead, there's going to be no action, of course, nothing to prevent that. But a woman having control of her body, the kids, right? So
It's
I don't
so
know.
contradictory because that's their number one defense. It's all about the kids. We don't want kids to be killed. But then 19 of them get shot at school and it could have been worse. It's like,
Exactly.
how does that make any sense at all? That a living, breathing child that has their whole life to live is killed at school when they're supposed to be learning and they're supposed to be protected. That could have been worse. But we shouldn't let women decide whether or not they want to carry a baby to term when that baby isn't even a baby. It's like it's not even a baby yet. But
Right. It's just
that's
cells.
murder.
Yeah.
That's murder. That's where we have to draw the line. And
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, like we said, it's deflection. They'll do anything that they can to kind of distract us from, I mean, everybody knows what the real issue is, but they're the ones that are refusing to acknowledge it. And
Hmm.
an easy way to do that is to blame other people. Honestly, we could get hit by an asteroid and they'll say it's because trans people, it's just so unnatural. It's throwing the balance of the galaxy off. That's why the asteroid hit us. It's trying to rewrite history and eliminate them all. Like that's something that I feel like they would say.
Hmm. I'm I get so mad. Right now in my head I'm still processing the fact that the cops did nothing. And there's just like when you actually go into the details of everything surrounding this event, it is like it's crazy. There's so many layers to it with the political takes, what actually happened, the police involved, the parents, like I just like there's just so many layers and like all of it is so devastating. Like it feels like pulling teeth to make any change. So I don't know if you guys live in Texas, but I advocate if you come to vote, if you do end up voting, to make sure you vote out any politicians that are pro gun, because that's the only way we can really make changes if we try and at least vote someone in that wants to, you know, wants to end this or wants to have gun reform. So I know Beto O'Rourke is one of the people running, so I highly advocate for voting for him to hopefully end gun ownership. He had the balls to go up to them, the actual like politicians. I don't know if you saw that video of Beto O'Rourke, like whenever they were having a press conference after the shooting, he went up to them and was like kids are dying and you know what the cause is. Like he went up to them while they were on stage and was like, you said that it was gonna, you said this last time, thoughts and prayers aren't gonna help and shit like that. So yeah, I know it's a heavy way to end the whole like episode. It sucks that like trans people are being a punching bag. It sucks that these kids had to go through that. I heard a story about a young girl. Did you hear it? Where the shooter went into her classroom. She was 11, killed a bunch of her friends, the other kids in the classroom. She ended up getting like a bunch of like bullet fragments on her back, and all over her body. And she was on the floor, and the shooter went into the other conjoining classroom. And she was so scared. She got her friend's blood and like wiped it on her to pretend that she was dead. And
Yeah.
I think that like I think that's like a good summation of like the tragedy and like the traumatizing event that this child and these children are going through, and children all across America are going through. So I think action needs to happen. And I didn't mean to get so political and so like
No,
angry,
I
but
think
like
we should,
yeah.
because like for me, going back to the cop thing, it's like the cops sat outside the school for almost an hour and didn't do anything, knowing that kids were dying inside. But in other situations, they're so quick to pull the trigger or to spring into action against one singular person of color that's alone on the street. So it's like you how do you gauge these situations where you have caution? Like why first of all, why are you being cautious if there's a single gunman inside of a school killing children? But in other circumstances that's not the case. So it's like it's guns at the same time, but it's also like, we should be relying on the police to do what they're supposed to do. And I mean, there's technically your job is to put your life on the line. And I feel like if they're too scared to go in and save children from being killed, I don't feel protected by the police.
Yeah, they had just, I mean, I can go on and on about the police and how there's just a lot of corruption in it and racism embedded into it. They just expanded their police force because of recent school shootings. And this is what happens, right? They're specifically trained to handle situations like that. And you're supposed to put your life on the line. I saw the statistic of how many kids have died over the past year versus how many cops have died in gunfire, and they're the same. So it's equally as dangerous to be a child in a school, in a classroom, than it is to be a police officer. So that's just how, that's just what you guys should think about. I just, it's heartbreaking at the end of the day. And, I
Yeah.
hate to end off in this note, but I think it's something that we should, all think about, all advocate against. Um, and change won't happen unless change is made. So, period.
On a lighter note, happy Memorial Day.
Woo!
Go
I,
America.
I hope you had a wonderful day off if you didn't work. Happy Memorial Day. I'm having a great time.
Me too. I'm in a great mood now.
Same. Love that for us. Shit, I made it. It's so depressing now.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I feel like for the last couple of weeks we've kept it pretty lighthearted, which was
yeah,
nice. But, we are here to give you the tea and talk about the hard topics too. So,
I
yeah.
promise next episode, hopefully, if nothing tragic happens, it'll be a lighter
Yeah,
episode.
let's hope so. Maybe
It'll be our first
next
Pride Month
week.
episode next
Oh my
next Monday.
god.
So it'll
Yes.
be the 6th. So
We'll
we'll
be
definitely
dissecting all of the different pride campaigns that are happening.
we should do
Oh
we
my
should
god,
do
wait.
a
That's a good idea actually.
I would love to, yeah. We should definitely do it. Oh, that'd be so fun. I also want to like talk I wish that like cuz it's a podcast and it's not like a YouTube video, like we could technically do it, but like I wish that we can like go through like the Target pride collections or like
Oh
other
no.
brand pride
Target is
collections.
unhinged.
And evidently it's better this year. They actually hire like queer artists and shit. But
Oh, okay, that's good.
yeah, but I know a lot of times like it is pretty awful. Slay.
It's like
All right. With that being said, thank you guys for listening to this episode. We really appreciate it. If you want to follow us or keep up with us, we're everywhere at Girlish Podcast. You can also follow us on Girlish or keep up with us on girlishpodcast.com. I want to start like a newsletter. So if you guys want to sign up for it, you'll get a notification anytime a new episode is posted. But you can also follow us on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. So you'll get notified when a new episode is up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and all new videos will be up alongside with these episodes. And yeah, I don't know if I have anything else to add.
I don't either. Thank you everybody for watching. Again, we hope you have a wonderful day after listening to this very depressing episode. Go outside and slay.
Slay.
Just remember to slay. and the day will be great.